Hello, everybody. We are back. This is Dan O'Connor with Martin O'Connor. Hello, say hi, Mart.
Well, hello.
Well,
There's
hello.
little kitty too, Dan.
Excuse me?
I love Minnesota.
Oh,
Kitty.
That's great. Today, we are going to be talking about mindful moments with Dan. And we're going to be starting out talking about communication strategies for work. And we're going to be talking about some communication strategies to be more mindful and a more loving communicator everywhere, both at work and at home. And I know that we have a lot to get through today, and I appreciate everybody for being so patient as we got online today. And so let's get right into it. What do you say, Mart?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. First, I'd like to start out with, yesterday we left off talking about the 5 conversations that every professional is going to have. And if you master these 5 conversations and can give specific examples on how you would have them, then your elite skill set is showcased in such a fantastic way. So the one that we left off with yesterday was, do you remember, Marty?
The which skill set?
Do you remember which of the conversations we left off?
Number two.
Remember what number 2 was?
Oh, I don't know. They're your conversations.
No. We did difficult conversations. I believe it was saying no. If it wasn't saying no is in the top 5. So I'm going to go with that one. And
you mean the conversations that we have to have? Yes.
These are going to be 5 conversations that every professional is going to have at some time or another. And if you can master them and show that you have mastered them, your what do you call it? Your value.
There you go.
Your perceived value just went way up. So
sure did.
When you need to say no, whether that is to a customer or to a boss or whomever it may be at work, there is a specific way that you want to say no. And the reason that you want to be specific about it and not just wing it every time is because saying no is a delicate situation. And especially if you say no off the cuff and it doesn't come out well, and you do that to a customer not once, but twice, that looks really bad, because I would think, as a communication expert, and if I were observing, you mean you haven't had to say no before? This is the first time you've ever had to say no, and you didn't honor me or honor this institution by investing a little bit and learning how to say it more effectively. So there are a couple of things I wanted to cover as we get into this real quickly. One is, if I have to say no to a customer, I'm going to start there because it's easier. That's flipping the tables. Normally, I don't say no to a customer, right? And so if I need to say no to a customer, I always want to give the reason, and if I can possibly do so, state it as a benefit. Meaning, let's say, Marty, that you were to Marty, did you ever get a tour of Burger King when you were a kid in school?
I don't remember Burger King. I remember like the chocolate milk place, Land O'Lakes. No, Cass Clay Creamery.
Creamery. I remember that. I remember that with Pancho Vanilla.
Yeah, I swear to God, there was actually still cows there back then.
Oh yeah, yes, there were. I bet there still are.
Yeah.
Let's say that
I don't remember the Burger King.
That was a very dangerous thing, looking back on it, that they had a bunch of children in with the flame, broiling machine. But these days, if you were to ask, back then, remember how Dad used to ask different kitchens if I could go in, because evidently that's what he saw me as doing when I grew up, being some type of a line cook. So I used to get he used to ask a lot of kitchens if I could get a tour, and they would say yes. I don't think they would say yes anymore, because it's more of a hazard, I believe, a safety hazard. And so if you need to say no to a customer really quickly like that, start off with what is the benefit in it for them. For example, I would love to give you a tour. However, unfortunately, to keep you safe, I can't do that, but I'd be happy to show you where you can get a virtual tour online. That's what I mean by putting the benefit first. For example, if a customer calls us up and says, Marty, have you asked your bank for anything lately that you've been declined?
Declined?
No.
Approved? Yes.
Really? Good for you. Okay.
Sure.
Well, let's say that you were to call up your bank and ask for a waiver of some overdraft fees, because so if I were the customer service agent and I had to decline that request, it might be something such as, Marty, I would love to help you out with that. However, unfortunately, to keep our rates low, not just for you, but for all of our customers, we can only waive those fees once per month. And I can see that you've already had them waived. What I can do, however, is set you up with a, what do you call it? Overdraft protection so that this won't happen again. Would you like that? And remember that when you're offering your alternatives, you want to offer that alternative. And then after you say it, specifically say, would you like that? And the reason you want to say, would you like that? As opposed to, for example, do you want that? Want me to do that? You don't ever want you don't want to put a customer in the position of admitting that they are needy or wantful, by saying things such as, do you need me to do that? Do you want me to do that? It's not about that. It's about, would you like that? And also when I'm using the tag question, blah, 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 would you like that? What that's doing also is drawing us away from that no that I just gave you. And I'm pulling the focus onto something that you like. So that's some general tips for doing it with customers. When it's with your boss, however, you really want to use a specific, I like to, excuse me. I like to use, is that better? I like to use the 4-step.
It actually is better, yeah, but I didn't notice it until then. Now that's good though.
There you go. I like to use the 4-step the 4 S's for saying no in the workplace. And those 4 S's are, you want to sympathize, say no, say why, and suggest alternatives. So let's repeat that, Marty. You want to sympathize, say no, say why, suggest alternatives. Okay, Mart, say that. Sympathize, say no.
Sympathize, say no, say yes.
Say why.
Say why.
Say why, suggest alternatives.
Say why.
And
suggest
you really,
alternative.
if you have not yet made a system like this one, or maybe you have a different one that works for you, and if you do, please leave it in the comments so that I can hear about it.
Yeah.
But if you have not yet mastered a specific, this is what you would call a freestyle script for saying no, you have to start doing that if you want to be considered for those elite positions in the industry in which you have chosen to work. So
let me try it again.
While you're waiting for now. How's that?
I want to try it one more time then.
Okay. Sympathize, say no, say why, suggest
sympathize, say no. Wait, you can't tell me. It's sympathize, then say no. Wait a minute. Then say why, and then suggest an alternative.
That's it. And by the way, that is why I wish I'm going to learn how to use this more effectively, but I would like to show you a flashcard. I just can't do that right now. But I like to learn all of these things. You have to have the right tools. If you're going to change your verbal patterns, it's like, I've been speaking Spanish for about 20 years. I've been speaking Spanish for 30 years. And in those 30 years, the way that I learned to speak Spanish is the same way that most of us learn to speak English. And it's very similar to how most of us develop our communication skills. I quickly developed to a level that, that I was getting by, or I quickly developed to the level that I chose. And that's it. I have not improved my Spanish at all since maybe 27 years ago. That's not a good thing when it comes to our communication skills, but most of us do. We plateau, right? And it's difficult. Right now, if I wanted to change something about the way I speak Spanish or the way I speak English, you have to do something above and beyond. You have to do something extra special. If I wanted to do, for example, some accent reduction, if I wanted to change the tenses that I use, and I'm talking about English or Spanish, it's very difficult, right, Mart? I mean, you have your way of speaking. We all have our own way of speaking. So to make a change in the way we speak a language, which is what communication skills are, a lot of people mistake communication skills as a soft skill, and that's how they try to learn it. They learn it as they would learn accounting. They learn it as they would learn, lots of a business skill. Communication skills are a language skill. And what that means is you have to learn it the way you would learn a language. You can't just, if you're going to go to China and you want to speak Chinese, you can't read a book on Chinese and then go to China and think you're going to speak it, right? And that's what a lot of people do, however, when it comes to their communication skills. Most people, they read a book, they go to a seminar, they see course or whatever, and they think, there you go. And they think they're going to see some change from that, but that's not going to happen. You have to have the right tools. That's where I'm getting, or that's where I'm going. You have to have visual cues. You have to have reminders. You have to have really heavy duty tools to help you break some of the habits that you have and to start speaking differently. So it's a language issue. So while you're waiting for an elevator march, while you're on the phone with a no risk situation, while you're talking to your kids, that's when you want to pull out your card and sympathize, say no, say why, suggest alternatives. Sympathize, say no, say why, suggest alternatives. Sympathize, say no, say why, suggest alternatives. Until you're blue in the face, until it can just come out easily. Because Marty, you
Yes.
you were not in the service, the armed forces.
No.
But you know people who have been.
Yes. Our dad would be one of them.
Dad would be one. And you know how in the service, Dad actually talked about this, how they teach you to take your gun apart, so that you can do it in the dark and put it back together.
Yes. Okay.
Well, the reason they do that is because when it comes time to when the need arises where you need to fix your gun, unjam your gun, do something with it, it's generally going to be a situation that's going to be perilous. Wouldn't you agree? It's not going to be an easy breezy situation. You don't want to have to stop and think, well, what was that again? What is the procedure for unjamming my gun? It has to be automatic, because in the situation when you need it the most, it actually is going to be even more difficult to remember how to do it. And that's the same thing with communication skills. When you need them the most is when they will fail you the most. So you want to practice and practice and practice and practice until it's automatic, because normally we are reacting to people, right? I mean, it's easy to react. That's what almost everybody does. They let the entire world dictate who they are, why they're here, what they want. They instead of showing who they are to the world, they're reflecting the toxic narcissists at work. So to break that, you need to just jam it in your head a million times. So Marty, remember, I'm going to give you a flashcard, and you want to use it when you have a moment in time to practice the pattern. Sympathize, say no, say why, suggest alternatives. Okay. So if I were your boss, Marty, and you're going to sympathize, say no, say why, suggest alternatives, first of all, I'm going to give you some easy lead-in or some easy power phrases and lead-in lines. Okay. So for the sympathize part, a simple line that begins with, I understand. Now, Marty, let's say that you want to sympathize with me or empathize with me. What does the average person say when they want somebody to feel as though they are sympathizing or empathizing with them? What does the average person say incorrectly? Like if I think, oh, Marty's really upset, and I know that if I empathize with him, he will calm down. And so people will say things such as, I know what? What do they say? Oh, I know
you're upset. I can see you're upset.
That's actually not so bad.
I know
they'll say things like,
I know you're an
how you
asshole.
feel, right?
Oh, yes. Right. Oh, I know how you feel. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I know just how you feel. And what do people think or even say when you tell them that you know how
you don't know how I feel? I'm a unique individual, and you couldn't possibly know how I feel. I want to destroy you even more. Something like that.
Some along those lines. So for a real simple empathy statement is something such as, for example, I understand what a bind you're in. I understand if somebody's upset, which is a different situation from the situation we're talking about, I understand why this would be so upsetting for you, is saying, I understand the chain of events that have led you to feel the way you feel, although I can't relate because you're unique. But I want to, that's a nice pot. That's a huge pot. But to say something like, Mart, I understand you are really in a bind. I understand this is important. Just something to acknowledge that, because that's going to be one little thing that's going to help get me unstuck, out of this situation. Then number two, I'm going to say no. Now, Marty, that is the part that almost everybody gets wrong if they do not have a script. Remember, if something is important enough that you're going to be thinking about it after the fact, before the fact, if something is important enough where it's brought to your field of vision, it's brought to your attention, it's important enough to script. There's a script for everything. And so the saying no part is what most people miss. They'll say things like, Mart, hey, Mart, Hey, Mark.
Hey, hey, Dan.
Asked me to hang out. Asked me to come over to your block party. You're having a block party because there is no more winter anymore in Minnesota. You're going to be
That's
having
true.
a block party. So invite me over and tell me to bring my famous hamburger hot dish.
Oh my God, Dan, we no longer have winter. Thank you, climate change. As a result of our impending Earth doom, we're having a party. And I wanted to invite you over for your famous hot dog, hamburger hot dish, Lutheran style basement casserole. And we'll see you about 6 o'clock Saturday, okay?
Oh, that sounds like so much fun. But unfortunately, my mom is in town. So I got to take care of her that day. Like, that's what a lot of people say. Right?
Bring your mom. Bring your mom, man.
I can't.
Oh God, bring her.
She's sick. She's sick.
That's okay because I am also a homeopath, and I've got everything you need over here.
She broke
Plus
her hip.
acupuncture.
She broke her hip.
Not only that. Okay, we see where this is going.
I get it. You know,
you've got
right. But when we do not say no, you know, a lot of people will argue with us, of course. You know, and when we do not say no, what that is in the subconscious mind of the other person is an invitation to please help me overcome this challenge that I'm telling you. So if I tell you, oh, I would love to come, but my mom is in town, then they're going to come, you know, say things like, well, why don't you bring her along? Oh, she's, you know, she fell and broke her hip. I got a wheelchair in the car. Oh, well, you know, she's poor. Oh, I got money to burn. You know, they're just, you have to say, however, unfortunately, the answer is going to be no. However, unfortunately, I cannot. However, unfortunately, I will not be able to do that. You have to say no, because if you do not, you are making it twice as difficult for yourself. Then, but you will be 10 times, I don't know what the actual statistic is, but you are going to be multiple times more likely to not say no if you wing it and do not use a script. So you have to use a freestyle script is just a pattern, you know, to get it out. So we've said, I would love to come. However, unfortunately, I cannot. Then what's the third part, Mart? Sympathize, say no.
Let's sympathize, say no, say why.
Say why. See, when you memorize that sympathize, say no, say why, suggest, it helps you remember what the next step is, right? Now, generally speaking, people will only ask us for one of two things, our most precious resources, our what or our what?
Our time or our money.
Our time or our money.
Time or money.
But
right.
For most people, it is as if it's the first time they've ever been asked for either one of those things when they are asked, you know? And so they'll be like, oh, hubba, 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 hubba. And so remember, if I'm asking for your time, all you have to say to somebody is, unfortunately, I have made other plans. And this was in a video I recently did, actually. And not only do I have a commitment, I'm unable to break that commitment. If you think it's going to be trouble, you know, I have a commitment tonight and I just can't break it. And if they're asking you for your money, I have a budget and that is not in my budget. You know, because people who are asking you for money, if they're asking you for personal, you know, if they're taking up a collection, a little different reason, but if people are asking you for money because what they're basically saying is, I've spent all of mine, can I have some of yours? What are you doing with that button, Mart?
I'm just playing with it as I look. I'm looking at the game.
Okay, great. So if I am, if I am asked, what was it? Oh, if I'm asked for money, if you are begging me and saying, I have spent all of my money, can I have some of yours? When you tell people like that, oh, unfortunately, I can't. I have a budget and that's just not in my budget. You know, but I've spent all of my budget money for this month. They don't understand about how that works. And so they tend to leave you alone. And when you tell people I've made another commitment and I can't break it, what do you do when they push it, Marty? Because the average person, when you say things like, oh, unfortunately, I can't tonight. I've made other plans and I can't break my commitment. What does the average person say?
Unfortunately, and they go, unfortunately, they go, come on, you can do it.
Yeah, come on, right? You know, why? What are you doing? What do you do? They start to either ask you questions. Now, the most likely thing that people will say when you say, oh, I can't, if you do not give a reason, if you say, I can't tonight, they're going to say, why not? What are you doing? Why? What are you doing? Right, Mart?
Yes.
Now, if you're using a script, it's very easy to overcome that. Because if you were to say, like, Mart, you ask me again, ask me to come to the meeting tonight, to the, you know, Hamburger Hot Dish Festival.
Can't wait to come. Hey, Dan, tonight's going to be the night. Bring that hamburger hot dish.
That sounds like a lot of fun. And under normal circumstances, which is one of my favorite power phrases, by the way, I would. But unfortunately, tonight I've made other plans and I really can't break them.
But it's going to start well before you even. This is like early, and you'll be home early, and it's probably not when you have plans.
Again, unfortunately, I can't. Now, I'm just going to keep giving you the broken record because remember, Marty.
Right.
By the way, I was hoping that you were going to say to me, why? And when you say to somebody, I cannot come, and they say the most, the most common response will be, why? What are you doing? When you have started with, so unfortunately I can't, and then they say, why? When you say to the average person, and watch, this is one of my favorite things that people try and then report back to me on, where they'll say, oh my God, it's hysterical. Because if you say, Marty, I can't come tonight. Why not? Because I simply can't. People will go, okay, I understand. Like you just gave them an answer. So remember, if you start out with, I cannot, then if they say why, you can say, because I simply can't. And there's a few different reasons why that's so powerful. Number one is because when you put the word because in front of anything, it all of a sudden makes a logical connection from one thing to another. For example, Marty, have you heard about that? Remember when Dad used to there used to be one long line at the movie theater and then one no line. And so what people would do is once the line of the long line got up to those two windows, people were very polite and one would go to one would go to not Dad. He'd say there's two windows, one line, go right up to the front. Right. So
for sure. Loved it.
Have you heard about this? Have you heard about the study where if you're going to budge in front of people and if you were to say, hey, can I get in front of you? My girlfriend's waiting in the car. A lot of people will be like, no. But if you say instead, hey, can I get in front of you because my girlfriend's waiting in the car? That one word because all of a sudden creates something in people's mind where they think, oh, well, that makes sense. Now I get what you're saying because you put the word because in there. So that leads, well, that makes sense. And you are 3 times more likely to get people to say, yeah, go ahead and let you budge in front of them when you use the word because. So if I were to say, unfortunately, I can't tonight because I've made another commitment and I can't break it. And then why? What are you doing? Or why can't you? But well, because I simply can't. That's all you have to do is keep repeating it over and over and over and over again. And then you suggest alternatives. So when you can go through that process, whether it's your boss, coworker, whomever it may be, then it's so easy to stick to your guns because, Mart, when your kids are trying to wear you down, when you tell them, son, I'll be back to pick you up tonight at 12, whatever. Okay. So Marty, I need you to put on your thinking cap now. Okay. So now this is a little bit different for children. And I realize that. Okay. But let's just say that, I'm going to be one of your staff members today. Okay, Mart. So Mart, I was hoping that I could take this Friday off because I have got a family emergency that I need to go to. So could you take me off the schedule for this Friday, please? Now you say no to me using that 4-step process.
Jeez, let's see. I understand that you're going to find Fridays very important to you and your family. However, we simply can't. Let's see here now. I've said no. The reason is we need you very, very badly because, however, if you get your job done on Friday, you can come back to work on Monday, and that's going to be amazing.
But Mart, what is so important that I have to be there for Friday? I mean, can it wait until Monday?
Unfortunately, it simply can't.
Well, could I leave halfway through the day on Friday?
Unfortunately, I simply can't allow that to happen. Thank you. I will see you Monday.
Okay. Now, perfect. You actually did the whole broken record because if you were to say something like, well, no, it's that new client, the Jones, and we can't leave them in the lurch. That is when people know, I've got you on the run. As soon as you change your story, and that, especially if you're a parent and you struggle with, God, why do people are just wearing me down all the time? If you change your story, that signals in the brain of the person, I'm going to keep going. I've got a chance. I've got an in. But if you just keep repeating yourself word for word, then people usually about 3 times they go away.
Dan, you think this is a good time to do some member shout outs?
It is.
Oh boy. Well, Jenny Novak's here. She's saying
Hi, Jenny
hello.
Novak.
Yeah, we've got some fans too. Sarah's here saying hello. Hello, family. It's raining in Arizona. I think Payson, Arizona, if I'm remembering right. But they're predicting snow for tomorrow. My God, Arizona on the other side of those Sierra Madres. I guess as the snow as all the weather comes over the atmospheric river. Goodness sakes. True Seekers here. We've got Mommy Bear in Japan.
Hi, Mommy Bear.
Jody is cool down in Australia, letting you know that you have helped Jody so much. You have no idea.
Thank you, Jody. I hope to go to Australia soon. Marty and I were talking about doing a tour there.
Oh, absolutely. Let's see. Yep, that is true. Now, let me just see here. There's probably a couple of questions. Nicole's got one here. Let me just.
Hi, Nicole.
Just get one.
Give me Nicole's question. Is Nicole, by the way, is Nicole a member?
Yes.
Hi, Nicole.
So brain damage. Well, you know her street name.
Sure.
Street name, hashtag brain damage. All right. Now, you know what? Well, I like that name. Remember Nate, our friend Nate, when he used to be a younger fella and he was in his street days, his street name was Brainiac. So I always like brain damage, Brainiac, things like that.
That's good.
Anyway,
what is Nicole's question?
How can you don't want to hear more about Brainiac? How can we know when someone is not communicating from a place of love?
How do you know?
Yeah.
Boy, that's a good question. I try to. Here's probably the right answer, I'm thinking, because I try to always assume that people are. And what I mean by that is not that they are. I mean, that's something everybody struggles with. That would be what people would want to do if they could. So for example, I would assume, I mean, it should be there should be some clues if somebody's trying to actively sabotage me, if that's what you're talking about. But I'm assuming that everybody that I communicate with, you, Olga, Mom, I don't have any other friends, people online, everybody's really coming from a loving place as best they can. If I'm going to assume that if you could get all of your needs met and show me great love at the same time, you would, because once you do that, there's no alternative. Once we really learn, oh my God, I can be loving with you and receive love at the same time, why would we do anything else ever again? So I'm assuming that you're doing the best you can. You have not yet been able to achieve that. Well, you haven't recognized that you can achieve that. But if you're not treating me in a loving way, for example, that should be obvious. You could feel that. And I would just chalk it up to there's something that's bothering you. There's something that's preventing you from doing that, that's taking you away from your natural state, which would be to treat me in a loving way. So find out what that is. And by the way, that's something that I wanted to talk about just while we brought it up real quick. Maggie and Buddy, Maggie has breast cancer, and I think I'm going to cure her of it. But in the meantime, the reason that I recognized she had breast cancer is because she was not behaving the way she normally would, right? And when we have somebody in our life, whether it's at the office or at home, who's not behaving the way they normally do, they're acting out in some way, unfortunately, many of us, instead of recognizing something's not right, something's taking you away from who you are, what we will do is we will focus solely on the behavior that person is exhibiting that is undesirable to us, and we'll try to slap it out of them, or we'll try to call them into the office or call them into HR and say, hey, you're not performing up to your abilities, blah blah blah, when what we should be doing is recognizing if you're not behaving as you normally do, that's going to signal that there's a problem usually, and let's see if we can first find out what that is and maybe help one another through it.
Well, I've got here's another good one. Thank you. This is Communications with Karma.
Hi, Karma.
Okay, now check this out. This is a good one.
Yeah.
They're all good, but this one's unusual. Caught
All
my
right.
attention. I'm almost 32 and still working on saying no.
Makes
American
sense.
Sign Language is my first language. I am
Oh,
hearing, however, I was raised by two deaf parents. I can easily sign now, but struggle saying no verbally.
fascinating. Wow. Okay.
Yes.
So you can sign a no, but you're having trouble. Well, maybe it's because if you were raised by deaf parents, you were signing it, just like we were talking about before. It's a language thing. It's our mouth is used to saying no, or it's not used to saying no, or it's used to saying things like, I'd like to be helpful, however, I'm afraid. So I'm wondering, we have these verbal, the feel, felt, found. I can appreciate why you would feel that way. Others have felt the same way in the past. However, what I have found is the seesaw scene. I can understand why you'd see it that way. I saw it the same way myself one day, but now I've seen it work for others and I believe it'll work for you. The think, thought, believe. I can understand why you think that. I thought the same thing once, but now I believe it'll work for you like it worked for me. Those types of verbal patterns you can either say or not say because you have said them a million times. And so if you were signing a no with your parents more often than saying it, I can understand why you would have said that a million times more often. And now you're supposed to be verbalizing a no to people at work and you're not used to doing it. So get used to doing it. Really, that's, I would say, the key. You have to get used to using the pattern that you have decided on, whether it's the 4 S's, the 3 parts, I'd like to be helpful, however, I'm afraid. So I'm wondering, whatever it is, just start saying it a lot. Like when you when you go to the grocery store, practice practice like with the cashier. You pull out your credit card when it comes time for them to say, are you going to be paying by credit card? Tell them, oh, I would like to be helpful, but however, unfortunately, I'm afraid I'm not going to be paying by credit card today. So I'm wondering, can I pay by cash? Use the verbal patterns as often as you can till they just become second nature, because I'm guessing that it's not a mental, like, oh, I'm so intimidated by them, I can't say no. It's literally you get tripped up over the words coming out of your mouth, I'm guessing. So just practice saying them.
Okay.
Do you have another question, Mark?
Well, we've got, not question right now, but you've got Brian Holland, who is a member, saying hi. And nice
Hi,
to
Brian.
see you.
Hi, Brian Holland. Oh, go ahead.
No, that was it. That was it for now. So if you want to get back to, I just wanted to do some shout outs. Oh, we've got a hello from the west of Ireland. We've got Diana.
Hi, Ireland.
Now.
We're sorry, I had soon. Really soon.
Selena loves black cats. Me too. And then Jenny saying, energy vampires are addicted to me. My boss and parents both like to take advantage of my empathy.
That happens. That I understand that. Just remember, the people will treat you the way you train them to and the way you allow them to. And when you are known as the go-to for the energy vampires, if you're that person, it's very difficult to break that. I mean, it's just like when I was a teacher, it is very easy to lighten up, very difficult to tighten up. So I can understand that if you are the preferred, victim of choice. One thing that I wanted to talk about today, Mart, was mindful moments, because I've had a bunch of questions. How do you, when you're in a situation, like if you're talking about all these energy vampires at work sucking on you every day, the time suckers coming down the hallway, the victim is and the beggar are both approaching. What do? They're coming from all angles. How are we supposed to, in the moment, be mindful, and remember who we are and treat people in a different way from how they are treating us? Because that's a big shift for a lot of people, right, Mart? A lot of people, when they are under attack, it's difficult to break out of the mindset of, well, if you attack me, I attack you back. Right? It's a lot of people don't get the logic. Why would I not attack you back? They don't get that. So without getting into too much of the whole logic, why would we not attack somebody back? Marty, what do you think? What is a reason why you, in your senior years now, have stopped, let's say, defending yourself so much when you are attacked? Because it used to be when you were young, when you had a little bit of youth left in your life, that if somebody would have attacked you on the street, for example, you probably would not have let it go. You maybe would have busted through a window of a car if that was the choice that you had to make. But you don't do that anymore,
No,
right?
of course not.
Why do you not do that anymore?
Who says I did it then? It's why would you know it's what you can prove.
Right. Do you
Let's
have
start
that on
there.
tape?
These are all fictional accounts. But why wouldn't I do it now? Well, I don't think you ever got I don't think it ever solves anything. I mean, if you're strictly talking about those kinds of things, what you're doing and your results are never good with that. So, I mean, that's truly why.
Okay.
I mean,
And-
so if you look at it, if what I'm trying to communicate, because here's the other thing, you talk a little bit about, I mean, if you're really getting down to it, aren't angry shithead dummies like me really just people with hurt feelings?
That's not very good self-talk, Mart.
Sorry. Okay. That 25-year-old angry guy, I think he
Yeah.
was just somebody who had hurt feelings. And he was like, why are you picking on me? And so I'm going to lash out because I don't have the ability to articulate the pain that I feel when you're so mean to me. So I think it's really just a cause. It's really boys, you know, it's a Cure song. It's boys don't cry.
Well, and yesterday we were talking about fear and love, and how I believe I can trace my own behavior back to either love or something I'm afraid of. And like I could imagine when you were younger and doing those types of things that you might have been thinking you were afraid that you would be found out not to be as powerful as you were hoping to be. The image of Marty's the savior, the tough guy, the superhero. If you were to be found out that you were not actually that, if you were to be discovered as the fraud, that is a very scary thing. I don't know about any of you watching this, but I have many moments in when I'm delivering a keynote or something, when I'm at a professional event. I don't know if I'll ever get rid of it. This feeling of this feeling of being a fraud. How could anybody listen to me? How could I, help this person? How could you ask me for advice? It's difficult for me, and that's coming from a fearful place. But do you think you ever had any of that? You were maybe afraid.
Oh, sure. Yeah, right. Of course. You've got, I mean, something to prove all the time, some chip on your shoulder, some baloney thing. And and I think as you get older, and I think a lot of younger folks, they get it before I did. So I don't even know if age has anything to do with it. Maybe it's an openness to it, but especially now that I'm 51, what the fuck do I have to prove to anybody? I mean, that's the other thing. Like, you don't have to like me or not or any of that jazz. And so I think, at least for me, it took 45 years. And here's the other thing. Here's one other thing, if we're really talking about it too. And it took me about 45 years. If you have a radical idea, sometimes you think to yourself, I kind of come from a lefty. Well, our dad, whatever. So a little bit, maybe a left wing, more left than some folks. And so then I realized it wasn't until I was 45 that I realized, it's not that I'm going to convince people to think like me. There's not a chance that's going to happen. It's that I don't think like a lot of people. And I don't know why it was like, how come you don't think this way? Because only a fraction of the world thinks this way. And it's probably stupid to think this way, but that's how you think. So there you go. That's the other thing.
Well, it is true. When you stop, it's one of the 7 habits. I think habit number 5, seek first to understand. When you stop trying to get other people to understand you, because a lot, that's what so many of us are doing. We're going around saying, hey, I don't think you get it. Let me explain it to you. We are trying to get other people to see our way of our point of view. And when you completely abandon that and remember, maybe I'm not here to teach lessons. Maybe I'm here to learn lessons. And you just become more of for example, in this political season, by the way, where I'm getting to is we have to stop trying to prove things to other people.
Right.
And to have a truly mindful moment. If we want to stop in the moment and stop being so ego-driven in our communication, we have to have some tools, which we're going to be talking about. But in this political season that we're approaching, we're going to have a lot of moments where people are going to be trying to shove things down our throats, their point of views. They're going to be looking for fights, as you all know. And I don't want to spend my time, I don't know how much time I have left, but I'm assuming every moment is precious. And I don't want to spend even a minute of it talking about, Donald Van Schitz's pants, Michael Phelps, you know what I mean? I don't want to do that, and whoever your person that you don't want to talk about is, whatever. I think it's frivolous, and we tend to make it like, I know what I can do. I can vote. I can try to, when people ask me, impress upon them the ideals that I believe maybe would help us rise up as a society and be better. But those are going to be very few moments in time, right? And so when I'm not doing that, or like what I've learned from you is, there is a role that I play, but to where we are in society, that I have played a role into our elected leaders being who they are, but to change it, it's not going to be, I have to be wise, right? Like sitting around at the lunch table at work is not going to be an effective way to make a change. Getting into a fight at a bar is not an effective way to change anybody's mind. Listening to them and deciding to be kind to them and actually looking for what is it that I'm missing that you aren't, what is it that you're seeing that I'm not, and actually wanting to find that can actually help if I take that attitude. But in that moment, Marty, between event and response, you know how I talk a lot about that sliver in time between event and response, where you can create the miraculous instant by remembering who you are. It is critical that if you have not yet made a personal compass, I mean, people talk about that personal mission statement. They have year-long courses that never end. That would be such a drag for me. I like to have something real quick, easy, 3 sentences. What are those 3 sentences, Marty, that make up your personal compass? See, we're all watching, Marty, as you blossom.
You did this to me the other day too, and then I was. I want to create. Because mine was like just.
Well, what are the 3 core sentences?
I am what I am.
Well, I am blank.
Yes.
I want.
I want. I am. I want.
Well, basically, it's I know who I am. I know what I want, and I know why I'm here. So I am. I want. Yes. I'm here too. Those are the 3 sentences. Yes. You can just fill them in with one word, like I am compassionate. Done. I'm here to learn. I would put first and foremost, I'm here to enjoy myself. And number 3, I want financial independence. So there you go. That will work for everybody. I'm compassionate. I want financial independence, and I'm here to enjoy myself. If that was your personal compass, even if you just copied that for me, imagine how much more effective you would be at those moments in time when you realize, this might be a big deal here. This might be a turning point for me. This might be a crucial conversation that I should really be in the moment here. And most people, if they have the presence of mind to recognize those moments, which most people, we all struggle with that. We mostly recognize those moments in retrospect. But if we have the presence of mind to recognize this could be a big deal. My mother is hurting right now. My father maybe is not having a good day. My nephew is coming to me asking me for help, is hurt. A stranger on the street could need help. Maybe I should get out of my head, break the pattern that I'm in, and actually be in the moment. Most people have 0 tools to help them do that. But if you have the personal compass, I know who I am, I know what I want, and I know why I'm here. I am compassionate. I'm here to enjoy myself. I want financial independence. At least in that moment, you have something to help steer you in the right direction so that you aren't just winging it like the average person who's going to get average results. That's what makes the difference. Those little tools, personal compass, doing a cost benefit analysis, maybe, doing those little, Marty, what's going on over there?
Nothing.
Is there an emergency?
No, there's no emergency whatsoever.
There is an emergency. We've run out of time. So let's say good evening and sayonara and.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's
sorry
time for
about that. I didn't. Are you? I'm seeing a text come in, but I haven't read it yet. But maybe I should be. We're getting family call out here.
No, it's just 20 after 6, and I apologize for getting started late, but I want to respect everybody's time and keep it. Hopefully tomorrow we'll keep it to more like half an hour.
Well, I have to at least say, Brian he says, I think therefore I am, which he quotes one of my favorite movies, Pris from Blade Runner. And although I'm more of like the Roy, like tears down my, what was it? What was it, Brian? Like all those memories, like tears will be lost. Oh, that was a good movie. Anyway,
I have not seen Blade Runner.
are you kidding? You should see the director's cut. It takes out some of the goofy stuff from the original one, but the Ridley Scott director's cut. That's what I'd say. I don't know. Maybe Brian thinks different. Okay. Well, thanks, Dan.
Oh, wait. Let me just do one quick thing before we go. Please, anybody who's interested in joining our launch team for the new book, go to books.danoconnortraining.com. And if you would like to ensure that you get in on the conversation more and get your questions answered, make sure to hit the join button. And I also have another book. Oh, if you have not yet listened to the Fajan, go to my website, danoconnortraining.com. And the reason I'm asking you to listen to the Fajan is because it's a new book. It's different for me. It's a children's book for adults or children. And I put out some of the first few chapters because I'm in the final stages of refining it. And I'm looking for negative feedback. So any criticism that you have, I would be very grateful. And it's the Fajan, the story of Carlos, the little elephant with a big heart and the courage to risk it all.
Earlier in the night, Joanne said, my last job definitely Fajaned me. So
oh my God, who said that? Who said that?
Joanne. So it's the first time I've seen it used in a sentence. There you go.
Joanne, I don't know what I'm going to give you, but it's going to be something because that is, you just made my whole night. You spoke my language because that's it. Pretty soon you will be hearing people saying, don't Fajan me like that. You can't Fajan me. And Joanne was Fajan. Joanne, are you the Joanne that I met in person? And you were you worked in security? If you are, it's good to see you again. So
that's like when we did that class, and then I was like, I really enjoyed working with those people. And then like 2 weeks later, I got a CIA cup just at Dad's residence. I was like, okay, like, thank you, trainers.
It's amazing that people. These people are amazing. Like, yeah. Did you went to Hawaii? Didn't you?
No, I've never been to Hawaii.
You've never been to Hawaii? I thought you've been to every state.
No, I think that may be close to the only one. Oh,
what?
Oh, Holland's just getting me here now with all the Blade Runner.
Oh, well,
anyway, we should go. Okay, thank you.
Are lovely as well.
Huh?
Nothing. It's been a pleasure.
Join up for Dan.
Yeah, please remember books.danoconnortraining.com. Check out the join button and the Fajan on the website. Check it out, please. And share it with your friends if you like it, just so I can get some more feedback before we launch it. Because the Fajan, you have to learn how to escape your Fajan.
Sounds good. All right,
Bye,
thanks,
Marge.
Dan.
Bye, everybody. Thank you all so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.